Welcome back to the Meadowlands Invitational at the Brendan Byrne Arena. Bob Varsha and Larry Rawson with you. Dwight Stones is down at trackside, and we're ready for the 600 yards. The world and American mark 107.6 set way back in 1970 by the original chairman of the boards, Martin McGrady. No one will be in lane one for this attempt. Butch Reynolds, who specializes in knocking off old marks. Remember, he got Lee Evans' 20-year-old standard at 400 meters. Next to him will be Antonio McKay, running for the New York Athletic Club out of Georgia Tech, the American record holder at 400 meters indoors and the two-time world champion at that distance. In lane 4 will be Danny Harris, the three-time NCAA champion of the 400-meter hurdles. And in lane 5 from Trinidad, Ian Morris.
Well, it's hard to believe exactly how old this record is, Bob. You know, doing a little calculations, if you can believe this, it's lasted so long that 50 million Americans have been born since that record was set in 1970. There's Antonio McKay, who had a difficult time and lost for the first time in 5 years on a board track last week to Tyrone Kemp of the University of Florida. He has had a leg problem. His leg is heavily taped because he's got a bone problem.
There you see Danny Harris, originally from Iowa State, who had that incredibly historic moment when he broke Edwin Moses' streak of 400 hurdles races. There you see Butch Reynolds,
ranked #1 in the world last year, Bob. He is a tremendously talented athlete. He worked all week on tempo, the pace that he wanted to keep to try and maintain to break this record. And he's got some problems we'll touch on in this race coming up, a real dilemma as to whether to take the lead.
And we'll finally take a look at Ian Morris, who will be competing in the 5th lane, which means he will start almost into the bank turn, which is why I wanted to ask you, Larry. We've talked about the track, how it can be tweaked, how fast it really is. But Butch Reynolds is in lane 2, and he's a big guy. Is that going to pose a problem?
I don't think it is. This is a beautifully banked track, and I think it'll give him an idea of what he has to do to get to. He wants to take the lead. We'll see if McKay feels the same way. Morris on the outside, on the other hand, doesn't like to take the lead. There he is on the left of your screen. He doesn't care. And you watch him drop it back. I'll be amazed if he takes the lead.
There you see the Reynolds wrap on Butch Reynolds, 43.29 in 1988. Gold medalist in the 1600-meter relay at Seoul and at the World Championships in 1987, ranked #1 in the world the last 2 years at 400 meters. He picks and chooses his races. We haven't seen much of Butch Reynolds thus far this year. He'll be running to the right of your screen. Golden records on the line tonight. Men's 600 yards. Remember the $50,000 cash bonus awaiting. In the women's 400 meters, Diane Dixon says she's going to go after it. She already holds that mark, wants to break her own. In the women's mile, Doina Malinte of Romania holds the mark. She is here this evening. In the men's mile, Peter Elliott, the Commonwealth Games champion, could be going after it. In fact, his coach says he might run 3:47 in the near future.
All those records there are legitimate cases can be made for an American or world record to go tonight. Danny Harris has great strength. We'll try and give you the split through the first 440 yards.
The lineup is Butch Reynolds, Antonio McKay, Danny Harris, and Ian Morris.
McKay in lane 3 there, and wearing the white top of the New York Athletic Club, has the ability to come from behind and lift and sprint. He has been injured this past week and said he did not train at all. He's a little concerned how much conditioning he may have lost.
There will be 3 laps from the start-finish line. The track is 176 yards around, 10 laps to the mile.
These are the worst moments in the world if you're a track athlete. A major competition, you just want to get the race underway. The stress is enormous right here. The adrenaline flow has you up in the moon, and you're totally full of anxiety.
Antonio McKay has also dealt with a cold thus far this year, but you saw him run very strongly in the Sun-Kissed Invitational at Los Angeles a month ago here on ESPN. Danny Harris dealing with the strain in his own way, as does Butch Reynolds. This is indeed a great home of records. 32 major marks have been set here in the Brendan Byrne Arena. There you see just a few of them. Probably the most famous, Eamon Coughlin's mile at 3:49.78.
Malinta's 2 years ago, Coughlin 1983, Marcus O'Sullivan on the way. The gun's up.
Set.
On the inside, Butch Reynolds and Antonio McKay go right to the front. They will break to the inside now, and McKay looks like he will challenge going into the second turn. 3 laps to go.
Bit of a surprise here. McKay taking the lead. Reynolds acted like he really didn't want it.
Butch Reynolds, the bigger man. McKay to the left, Reynolds to the right. Quickly, Danny Harris flies to the outside as though we were going to take a look over Reynolds' shoulder. 2 laps to go. And a bit of a gap now opening up for Antonio McKay. About 3 strides back to Butch Reynolds. Now Ian Morris slides up on the inside. And he will pass Reynolds. Reynolds fades quickly. Here comes Ian Morris. Here comes Danny Harris to challenge Antonio McKay. 1 lap to go.
49 seconds flat, right on the pace that they wanted.
Morris stepped in a bit too soon. I think McKay goes down as well.
Well, there may be some controversy off that. There were collisions there that might justify getting disqualified. It looks like it's going to be Danny Harris's race.
Danny Harris, but I would think that the record is probably out the window at this point. 1:09.60 unofficially, well off the record, and a race badly marred by that pushing incident.
Absolutely. That's a slow time for these people on that track. There is Antonio McKay jogging on the backstretch right now. Morris tried to take the lead. I think it was a case of people cutting in too soon, and it might have been 2 people at fault.
Here's another look. Watch number 3, Ian Morris.
You're supposed to have a full stride before you cut in. It looked like Morris, to me, might have been clear of the way, but look at this. I've never seen that in a 600 race. I've never seen 2 people go down that late in the race, Bob.
And here's a look at the end of the race.
The strength of a 400-meter intermediate hurdler ranked 4th in the world. Danny Harris prevails in the last lap as Butch Reynolds falls shy here by about 2 steps. The time, a slowish 1:09.6. That's not an auspicious debut here for the record attempt.
And the crowd has suddenly fallen silent. They have been really into all of the events that are preceding the feature events you're seeing here on ESPN. Let's go down now to Dwight Stones.
Danny Harris, was there any doubt in your mind that when Antonio took the lead that the record attempt was completely off?
I felt the pace was slow from the very beginning. It's really hard to slow up and speed up and slow down on the board. So I knew the record was out, so I just wanted to try and stay in good position and make a move at the end.
Okay, what about Ian Morris cutting in? We've got it on the monitor. Try to take a look. Do you think he had enough room to cut in, or did he just drop into the first lane?
I'm really not sure. I was involved in concentrating on the race. I think that now that I look at it, it looked like somebody didn't have a step there, so I'll leave that to the judges to decide.
So you're pretty sure he was someplace where he did not belong?
I'm not sure if it was him, me, or Antonio, but we'll let the judges figure it out.
Still a great field. It's a nice victory. Maybe there's not a time that you wanted to, but still a victory, you'll take it.
I'll take a victory any day, Dwight.
And a victory he has at a slowish 1:09.6. Well, what the heck? $50,000 doesn't buy what it used to anyway, I suppose.